had something in common. And she used to stand at the fence and say, "Hi, Sahar." But because of the memories of the fight, I would say, "Hi, Raimonda," and just go. Until one day she said, "Do you have among the books you have The Second Sex for Simone de Beauvoir?" I said, "No." She said, "You have to read it." I said, "Why?" She said, "Because she shows us the way how to get out of our lives. Are you satisfied with your life?" From then, we started talking. And that was only on the fence between her garden and the garden of my house. So it continued for weeks until we started visiting each other, and later on we got stuck to each other. We had so much in common. We learned how to deal with each other because we are both explosive. She's more explosive than I am, but but still we have so much in common. I mean, being so nervous and tense. So we learned how to deal with each other.
In May of 1967, tensions between the Arab states and Israel rose to a fevered pitch. Israel accused Syria of sponsoring terrorist attacks and threatened to retaliate. In response, President Nasser of Egypt blockaded Israeli shipping to its southern port.
When, out of the blue, an Egyptian army appeared in Sinai, it was felt in Israel as a mortal threat. At the time I was in the Knesset, I was in daily contact with the Prime Minister and other leaders of the Israeli government. I did not just hear what they said, I also saw how they looked. They were really in mortal fear for Israel. And this idea that Israel is now in danger of existence, for its existence, was quite real. It was also completely out of place because the real balance of power was totally different. It took about 3 weeks to get American approval. No Israeli government can start a war without American approval. American approval was finally given, and then the Israeli army attacked.
In just 6 days, it was over. The Israelis occupied East Jerusalem, the West Bank, and Gaza. They would now live with over 1 million Palestinians.
All over the world, it seemed that people were celebrating the Arab downfall. Their sympathy was for Israel, the underdog. But now we are the underdogs.
When I saw the thousands of refugees fleeing from Kalkilia, Zeta, and the villages around, they were walking for 3 days. They arrived to where we have been, sitting in our shelters. We opened the windows and doors. We saw the flow of refugees. Hungry children, women, people desperate, humiliated, who have been forced to leave.
The second day after occupation, Raimonda came to my house. She banged the door, bang, bang, bang. I opened the door, I expected to see the Israelis. And there was Raimonda. She said, "You are still hiding?" I said, "Of course, everybody is hiding." She said, "But can't you see the multitudes, the thousands of refugees who are down in the olive grove?" I said, "Yes, I see them." She said, "Don't you listen? Didn't you hear them cry and shout and moan all through the night?" I said, "Yes, I did." And she said, "And you are staying still?" I said, "What can I do? What can a woman like me do?" She said, "Come on, what are you waiting for? We are dying anyway. If you stay here, you will die. If you go with me, you will die." Raimonda convinced my husband, who had a red-white car, to paint Red Cross on a sheet of cloth, a piece of cloth, and hang it as a banner. And we drove in a ghost town with nobody, not even soldiers, nobody in the streets. We reached the municipality where the military governor was holding a meeting with the members of the municipality and the mayor. And around a huge table, all those big men with military suits, and the mayor, our mayor, and the rest of the group, the members of the municipality. When they saw us, they were shocked. The military governor stood up, and the mayor stood up. He talked to her. And do you expect that the Israeli Defense Army is coming here to feed the Palestinian refugees?
I told them the refugees were starving. Eventually, they helped and gave us food. We went back home to distribute the supplies and found my husband and a group of men sitting around talking politics.
We went up the stairs and into the balcony, and we asked if they could help us to distribute the rations. And all of them were looking at us like that. And in fact, they looked at us and then went back to talk higher politics. Then I lost my mind. I said, for God's sake, stop talking about Marxism, Baathism, and all the isms in the world, and help us feed all these mouths.
We fed the refugees, but that wasn't enough. The world had to know what was happening to us.
After the war in 1967, my house in Nablus became a place for meetings for Israelis and Palestinians. It became a center for a dialogue.
For the population of Nablus, it was not easy for the first time to comprehend why these people, why these Israelis, why these Israelis comes to this house, and why this exchange of views.
והאמת אנחנו מאוד הופתענו, מה לנו לעשות לאישה בשכם, עוד ב-67. אז אמרו לנו שאצלם מתקיים מפגש של כל המי ומי בשכם. כל האישים הפוליטיים, האישים החשובים. והגענו באמת לשכם, ואנחנו מאוד הופתענו לראות אולם מלא בבית שלה, של כל מיני אישים חשובים מאוד. והיא שם הייתה אישה יחידה. שהייתי אומר שהייתה אישה שניצחה על כל התזמורת שם.
I met Raimonda in the first weeks after the beginning of the Israeli occupation of the West Bank. I had already met other Palestinians, but this was the first time I was confronted by a Palestinian who spoke frankly, openly, about what in her view should be Israeli-Palestinian relationship, who defended the rights of the people in such an articulate and passionate way that I came to call her the Passionari afterwards.
I was obliged to talk to the enemy. How can I help my people if I don't talk to the enemy?
It was very, very courageous for any Palestinian to invite Israelis to their homes because there would be an automatic suspicion that she is collaborating with the occupation.
Until the war of the Six-Day War, I was fighting Palestinians all my life. After the Six-Day War, I started asking myself, what the hell is this? I've been through 6 wars. How will it end? Now we have more than a million then, Palestinian Arabs about whom I know very little. I was a junior minister in the government by then. And I told the Prime Minister, Levi Eshkol, give me half a year. I want to see who these people are. I don't know, I know them only through the muzzle of a gun. And this is what I did. I spent 3 months in Gaza and 3 months in the Western Bank. And then I told Golda Meir, who was Prime Minister, let's start talking with them. And she said, what are you talking about? There are no Palestinian people, there are no Palestinian movement. And I came on a collision course with Golda Meir. I was her sort of number 2 in the party. And then I found other Israelis who think like me. And we started talking.
He was telling us that I took the gun and I fought the Palestinians. I remember he even said, I killed Palestinians.
Well, they killed friends of mine. We killed them from the age of 16.
16. And now I am Lova Eliab, Secretary General of the Labour Party, is coming to tell the Palestinians, you exist and I recognize you. Recognize you as a people, you have your culture, you exist, You have your land, you have your state, we can't ignore you.
We must say that Raimonda was one of the first Palestinians to pave the way for a Palestinian moderate line, for a line of a two-state solution, two peoples living as neighbors. And nobody can deny this fact or the input from Raimonda and the making of a Palestinian peace strategy, which started with Raimonda 15 years before it became acceptable to the majority of Palestinians.
One day, it came to my knowledge, a rumor, that an Israeli warplane had spread chemicals on the 3,000 dunam, which is 30 hectares of grain in it, belonging to a small Palestinian village, Akraba, high in the mountains above the Jordan River. And I went to interview the people, especially the Mukhtar, head of the village. And I took Raimonda with me. She was always very helpful, as I said before. On a short notice, she came with me. And there we actually saw, the fields from yellow had turned brown, dirty, burned out by that chemical. And then this enabled me to spread a story which put Moshe Dayan, the then defense minister, in great difficulties because they didn't want it to be known.
Alors elle dit que avant elle avait des terres, et puis l'armée israélienne est venue, elle a brûlé tout le moisson, et puis rien ne lui est resté de la terre. Alors il était obligé d'aller travailler en Israël, et il partait le matin et il revenait le soir. Et il ne voyait pas même ses enfants quand il revenait la nuit. Et il prenait d'Israël 20 livres israéliens par jour. Et quand il venait, il voyait à la maison que 20 livres ne suffisaient pas. Il devait avoir 50 livres pour dépenses parce que la vie devient très très chère. Alors il a été obligé de quitter le travail en Israël.
Here is one of the instances without Raimonda I would have been helpless because nobody, not the Mukhtar, that of the village, anybody else in this small village of 3,000 people spoke a word other than Arabic.
At that time, there was worldwide ignorance about the West Bank and Gaza. People did not know anything. They believed the Israeli propaganda that this is a very liberal, enlightened military occupation, something beautiful. Actually, it's a kind of paradise conducted by a benevolent Israeli military governor. And people believe this. So when journalists came to this country and were looking for information, it gradually became known that as one person to contact Raimonda Tawil in Ramallah and in Jerusalem, who can get you in touch with everybody. I don't remember there was even one time when I found her alone. She was always surrounded by half a dozen journalists speaking half a dozen languages. They were all lounging around, asking for addresses and telephone numbers. And this became a kind of one-woman center of information, to the very great irritation of the Israeli government.
I was called to the military governor's office and put under house arrest. Is this democracy?
The general charge was that she is risking the security of the military rule without giving her or me any details concerning those accusations.
House arrest isn't unbearable. I can still enjoy the comforts of my home. Thousands of Palestinians have been rotting away in prisons for years. In the course of my life, I have been denied my freedom as a Palestinian under occupation and as a woman.
But she was defying all the time. She was defying the Israeli authorities, and by the mere fact that everybody came to her. She didn't have to go out. Her phone was cut. People came to her. So politically, it was a very big failure because Raimonda is not somebody you can close in a box and then she shuts up.
It was nice because the first time my mother was at home all the time.
You could see her in the morning, in the evening, in the afternoon, at lunchtime, dinner, all the time. This is what it was. In the unconscious, oh, my mother, she is home. She is no more in the demonstrations, in the streets, talking, going out, gathering with people for the cause, Palestine, blah, blah, blah. This is, emotionally, I think it was nice.
Raimonda was very patient, and I'm sure she had lots of thoughts of leaving everything, or leaving either politics or the house. But somehow she succeeded in riding both horses, and I think Daoud had the big part in it because he was tolerant and he was willing to grow up with her and really give up his chauvinist, male chauvinist appearance, which was very important for him when they first married. I mean, he was much older, and he thought he's going to educate her, and all of a sudden she was educating him.
I used always to quarrel and have discussion with Raimonda when she left the children. We had 5 children. The biggest, she was, Diana, she was about 10 years old, and 9, 3, 4, I don't know. And I used to be angry because she leaves them for me. 5 children, she leave them and go.
Daoud told me, try to convince her to be quiet, to be calmer, not to speak out all the time. How can you convince